Good evening everyone, and welcome to a new video on the channel. Do please remember to like, comment and subscribe, as it really does help us while we're getting this new channel off the ground. It is Tuesday, July the 22nd, and this evening we're off to the First Cloud Arena to see South Shields take on Carlisle United. But before we go there, come with me a minute. There's something I want to show you. So, here we are at Eden Park, home of Peterlee and Hordern Rugby Club. Now you might be thinking, okay, what's going on here, Dave? Are we having a change of code here or something? Well, I have to tell you actually that back in the day I was a half decent loose head prop as it happens, but this is nothing to do with rugby. Let's listen on. So what we're looking at here is Eden Park, and as recently as 2015, just 10 years ago, South Shields were playing home games here in front of less than 50 people after their ground, Filtrona Park, the lease had run out, there was a dispute and it was unavailable. The club just about managed to stay in business in those two seasons that they played here. 2013-14 and 2014-15, just surviving in the Northern League Division 2. So all of that puts into complete context the rapid and meteoric rise of South Shields over the past 10 years. So now let's head over to the First Cloud Arena and see the difference and see how it all unfolds. So here we are in South Shields, going into this game. South Shields finished in a lower mid-table position in the National League North last season. Has to be said, it was a very disappointing season for them. They had what looked on paper to be a very good squad, including prolific striker Paul Blackett. And although they had some notable results against some of the promoted sides, their inconsistency let them down badly, and their second half of the season really turned into something of a damp squib. It all resulted in Elliot Dickman departing his position as manager at the end of last season, and I know for a fact that he had the support of the players, because we had one of his players, Brian Taylor, on loan at Redcar Athletic last season. Subsequently, of course, signed for us permanently, but he said that that Elliot was well respected by the players. The one thing that came across for me is he never really seemed demonstrative enough, and I mean that in a nice way. You know, it never seemed to mean as much as it should do, and I'm always a bit concerned when managers are like that. There's a similar situation with a current Shildon manager who I've sort of made comments about in the past, that when you see their post-match interviews, nothing ever seems to mean anything. It's always, you know, well, you know, we were a bit unlucky really, you know, we played well, there were things out there I liked, all that sort of thing. There's never a rant at the ref, or, you know, slagging his players off, or bemoaning something else that happened in the game, or storming out of the interview. You know, all of that shows passion. You know, that's what I want to see in a manager, and I never really saw that with Elliot, and so there we go. Anyway, we'll see what happens this time around. For Carlisle United, of course, they finished in 23rd in League 2 and were relegated to the National League. a very big club, Carlisle. Of course, they've been down here once before and they were able to get back out. Remains to be seen whether they can repeat it. The surprise for a lot of people probably was that Mark Hughes Stadium host. What I will say about Sparky is that he seems to be a genuine football man, in terms of, you know, it would be very easy for him to walk away. It would have been very easy in the first place for him not to accept jobs as managers of League Two clubs after his illustrious background managing much higher. Maybe he thinks he's got a point to prove, or maybe he just loves the game, you know, that rare commodity of someone who loves the game and wants to put something back. But it has to be said that his stock, shall we like, is not as strong as it once was. You know, it's a long time really since Hughesy has achieved anything major in the game in management. Obviously he had a situation where he managed Bradford City, didn't really achieve anything there. Obviously Carlisle, he came in to try and keep up, failed to do that, although results did improve. So I'm guessing, you know, this is going to be a bit of a learning curve for him as well, because he would never have managed in the National League and won't necessarily know the pool of players that he will be coming up against there. So fair play to him for staying, fair play to the club for keeping him. You know, some would say that's a sign of ambition. It remains to be seen whether he can turn it around. Anyway, enough of me prattling on. Let's head into the First Cloud Arena and see how it all pans out. So here we are at the First Cloud Arena. Let's head in. Okay, so we're going to start our tour of the First Cloud by having a look behind the goal at this home end. I say it's a home end. Home supporters are actually at both ends. They've got half of the away end at the other end as well, and that is where the sort of the ultras, I suppose you'd call them, would congregate. Suddenly we got a bit of wind coming up here, as you can see by the rustle of the flag there. But you've got about 2-3 steps of terrace here, and this will then give us our first decent view of the grandstand, which is the highlight of the First Cloud Arena. Again, a bit hazy in the sunshine there. We'll try and get a better angle on it, but that's the grandstand. And any supporters banner that includes James Connolly and Tony Benn deserves to get a mention on this channel. And there's that stand again, still got a little bit of a hazy interference here, but hopefully this will come out better than it looks on my monitor. Now, if you think back to the start of this video and that trip we had to Peterlee on the way here, and you can see, you know, the complete and utter transformation of South Shields as a club in the last 10 years, since those days of playing at Eden Lane in front of 40 or 50 people. And now here they are in this hugely developed stadium with lots of nooks and crannies. It really is an amazing ground, the way that it's evolved over the last 10 years. We got a traditional sweet shop in the corner there. Now you don't see many of those at football grounds. And then we've got a balcony area up in this particular bar here. And we'll try and get around all of the bars in the ground on this tour. This one here, I'm not sure if it's just for sponsors or if this one's open to the public. Right, so I'm told anyone can go in this bar, so we'll have a quick look inside. We've got a little corner area here, and if the match is awful, you can always come around here and hide from it. And this is the first of several bars that we'll be looking at this evening. You can almost go on a pub crawl in the South Shields ground. It's a real good one for drink aficionados. We've got another little food outlet there at the function suite, and then we got this little bit of terrace in here, which actually is quite used in the matches. So you've got about 3 steps of terrace in there, and you do get quite a few people that congregate under there actually. Another little merchandise stall there, which actually isn't open tonight, and then this is the players' tunnel. Just have a quick look down there. That obviously comes out when the matches start. Can bar there, which again isn't open today. And then this would have been the original stand before the big one opposite was built. So this is one of the remnants of the original Filtrona Park ground. Quite a few fans congregate on those steps outside. And this is our second bar stop. This is the marquee in the corner. See, another very popular area with home fans, you can see there. This gets pretty busy on a National League match day. And the latest catering stop is in the corner here. And I think that it's probably time that we actually stopped and got some dinner. So we'll call a pit stop here, I think. And it's programme review time now, and South Shields have produced a 40-page programme that covers all of their friendly fixtures for this period. So it covers the game obviously tonight against Carlisle United, also the matches against Shildon, Consett and Newcastle United under 21s. So we got a contents page, we got some club news including about signings, we got a list of the fixtures for the 25-26 season. We got the manager Ian Watson's first column for his new club. We got Robert Briggs, one of the players, obviously. Bear with me. We got a report on the 4-0 loss to Sunderland's first team a couple of weeks ago. We got some kids features here. One of the features of the South Shields programme is that they regularly have a lot of content for their junior supporters. And then we got features on the away sides that they're playing. The 4 sides. Obviously we've got adverts in this program as well. We've got stuff about the International Academy, commercial stuff, sponsorship opportunities, some nice head picks, lots of photo montages. We got player sponsors, we got stuff on the academy and the women's teams. We got stuff from the Supporters Alliance that follows the club home and away. More fixtures there, more adverts, and all the teams on the back, which you need a bit of a magnifying glass to actually read, but they're all there. So that is the programme watch. Great pre-season programme. Even though it covers multiple matches, it's a great issue, well produced. I give that 9 out of 10. So we're leaving our third potential pub stop on the trail tonight. I suppose you could call it 4 if the can bar had been open as well. But finally I think we can get a decent view of this grandstand now from this end of the stadium. The sun's not quite as bright from here. I suppose we should call it at least once by its proper name of the Wolf Competition Stand, rather than calling it the main stand. And behind the goal here, this is where the young element at the South Shields support normally stand. This is the noisy section, if you like, and I'm sure they'll be in there later tonight. I should have mentioned earlier that there's a clock up on the balcony there. You can see that it's actually called the clock stand. I know that certain people love clocks at football stadiums. Well, there is a pretty good one up there. Seriously good floodlights here as well, by the way, in each of the 4 corners for those of you who love the genre. And we're now underneath this Wolf Competition Stand, and yet another food outlet. Dixon's there. You're not spoilt for choice for food here. And finally, the final one of our 4 bars tonight. And some would say it's the biggest and best. People will be watching the Euros in here later. We've got founder shareholders up on this wall. As you can see, a nice big bar down here. So if you're watching this somewhere down south and you're thinking of coming up to the northeast for a stag weekend, well, how about considering South Shields FC, because you can actually go on a pub crawl while you're at the football match and go to 4 different bars, which is not going to be a bad start to your stag weekend. So if you're planning a stag weekend, the First Cloud Arena should definitely be something that you're putting in the diary. Nice sort of handy map of the stadium here as well. And there you go, South Shields FC, always ready apparently. I mean, they're not. I mean, you an away match, I bet you can't go around knocking on all the hotel doors at 3 a.m. in the morning and saying, we kick off in 5 minutes, lads, you know. So they're not actually always ready, but I get where they're coming from. And a view from inside the Wolf competition stand. There's lots of boxes at the top here, by the way, I should have mentioned. All the way along here, you've got lots of executive boxes right the way along the stands with their own mini bars and stuff. Don't know if we can just have a quick sneak peek inside one. There you go, got your own TV, all pretty plush stuff. And they can either sit in there if it's cold or sit out there. So that is the First Cloud Arena. Let's start concentrating on the football. And the teams are coming out of the tunnel for tonight's game. In front of what it has to be said is quite a modest attendance by the First Cloud Arena's normal standards. And as you can see, South Shields lining up in their normal claret and blue, and Carlisle in a sort of stripy green number. And we're underway here at the First Cloud Arena. And a lively start by the visitors, aided by some pretty slack defending from South Shields, it has to be said. And for train aficionados, you can see in the top left-hand corner of your screen the Newcastle Metro going past there. Carlisle going close after their press worked well again there. And there's the opening goal for Carlisle. 11 minutes on the clock. And a long spell of possession ends up with no end product. And we've just moved into added time at the end of the first half, of which there will be quite a bit, because unfortunately the South Shields number 11 had to be stretchered off after a lengthy period of treatment. And surprisingly, the first corner of the match comes in added time at the end of the first half. And the referee blows the half-time whistle here at the First Cloud Arena. Half-time then, South Shields 0, Carlisle United 1. Probably deserved by the visitors. The home side have had a lot of possession during the match, but haven't really ever looked like doing anything with it. It's been lots of movements back and forward, ball played up to midfield and out wide, but then just recycled and not really leading to any clear-cut chances. Chances have been at a premium all game, in fairness. There's only been one corner in the half, and that came during added time at the end of the game. Carlisle are playing a very high press, and that's proving quite effective. The Mariners are often finding it difficult to clear their lines, and definitely they've had more of a cutting edge in the final third. So Mark Hughes will probably think that his side deserve to be ahead, and on the balance of play that's just about the right result. But South Shields have still showed enough confidence on the ball to show that they can yet contribute to this game if they can get their act together in the final third. We'll see what happens in the second half, when doubtless there'll be a lot of changes of personnel for the second 45.
Hi, I'm Philip Thompson. Have a good day.
That's Philip, the Newcastle United fan, and enjoying the game?
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win?
I think it's going to be 2-2.
2-2, all right, we'll see if that prediction's right. Enjoy the second half. And we're back underway for the second half. Good position this for the Mariners. Can they do anything with it? Unfortunately not. And as expected here, it looks like we've got a complete change in lineup for Carlisle United. Pretty much all the outfield players being replaced by a new lineup. And straight away Carlisle add to their total. I think it was his first touch of the ball. 2-0 to the visitors.
Scoring the 10,
and so South Shields have now declared themselves, and they're going off the field and being replaced by another new lineup. So we've got two completely new sides now contesting the match. And straight away the effect is repeated because South Shields have reduced the deficit to 2-1. Once again a player scoring with his first touch of the ball. What a bizarre sequence of play that was. No, it's offside. Offside, I'm afraid. So we play on still 2-1. Good tackle that in fairness. Has to be said, this second South Shields lineup is looking considerably livelier than the first. All he had to do was square it and the scores would have been level. Bit of rush of blood to the head there. And the final whistle goes at the first Cloud Arena. Good travelling support up from Cumbria tonight. There's Mark Hughes. So it finishes South Shields 1, Carlisle United 2. Much better second half as a spectacle. And it really was a bizarre game because it changed completely, two completely different sides from the 60th minute on. And I think it's fair to say that the second 11 for South Shields were a lot more effective and direct than the one that played for the opening 60 minutes, where to the contrary, the second Carlisle United team that took the field didn't look quite as good as the one that had played for the majority of the match. So it made for an exciting finish. Bizarrely, both new lineups scored immediately that they took to the field. Then of course South Shields had a goal disallowed for offside, and then had a golden opportunity about 12 minutes from time where all they needed to do was square the ball for a certain goal. But I would have thought they would take a lot of encouragement out of their second half performance. For Carlisle, they're clearly a work in progress as well. We're 2 weeks away from the start of the regular season on August the 9th for both of those sides. A good travelling support for the Cumbrians as well. So all in all, an entertaining game at the First Cloud Arena. And we'll be back on this channel on Friday the 25th of July, and it is the start of the official competitive season, because we're heading over to watch Darlington Town against Billingham Synthonia in the opening game of the Northern League Division 2. So come back and join us then. Until then, catch you later.